I can't remember his last name, had a phenomenal game. The special teams unit played absolutely horrible in a shootout game that was in Giants Stadium in like November or late October of 2012. Go out there. If you have Game Rewind, you can go out there in a combo box, put 2012 and put week 10 or 11 and watch that game against the Saints and the Giants. Other than that, the Saints have dominated the Giants. In fact, in the last 3 to 4 games against the Giants, the Saints have averaged about 35 points in all of those games. Even the game that was out there in New York, I think it was like a 51-35 final. So the Saints have played very well, even before Coach Payton with Jim Haslett as the coach. The Saints played well against the Giants. But a lot of the blowouts were in the Superdome. This one is going to be in New York, and the last time the Saints won in New York was Coach Payton's first year, 2006, with Reggie Bush, and they went out and beat the Giants in late November. I think the score was like 27-14 in a game in which the Saints defense showed up, and Reggie Bush had over 120 yards in that game. So the Giants are not a team the Saints are, afraid of. They have dominated them over the last 10 to 11 years. I think it should be a highly interesting contest. I think that Lutz will have to play a factor. I really do. And I think that in this game, it's going to be paramount that if the Saints can stop a couple of drives and get at least one turnover to give Drew an extra possession and a short field, those factors will be beneficiary in terms of the New Orleans Saints having an opportunity to win this game. And in a second, we'll come back and give you our predictions. BB, your keys and your thoughts on this game against the Giants.
Believe it or not, it might be one thing that a lot of us didn't expect in terms of a key to the game. You saw the last time these two teams played, the quarterbacks combined for over 800 yards and 13 touchdowns. I think this game comes down to the running backs. Which team can establish a run and which team can make drives last? Which team can run the clock? Because both these teams can score quickly. Both these teams have dynamic and elite wide receivers and Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. Which team can sustain a drive and allow their defense to get a breather? I think that is the biggest key to the game. It's going to go on Rashad Jennings, the former 7th-round pick from Liberty University. And then it's going to come down to Mark Ingram, the former Heisman winner out of Alabama. Which one of those guys is going to be able to get the workload and really dominate a bad defensive line on both teams? Both teams don't have great defensive lines. And Jason Pierre-Paul might miss the game for the Giants. He's got a bad shoulder. He's listed as questionable. So which offense is going to take control and win the war in the trenches and open up lanes for their running backs? I think that's the biggest key. I think the weather plays a big key in this game. You mentioned the young kicker in Lutz. I think that plays a big role as well. And third, which defense is going to come up with the big stop? Because we know how this story is going to go. Both these Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, they're going to sling it against each other. Their running backs are going to be able to ground and pound and do something for their offenses. But which defense is going to get that big stop at the end of the game to either give their team a chance to win late or seal the deal for their team?
BB, while I'm talking about a few things, do you have the NFL schedule for this week available near you? What games are being played?
Yeah, I can pull that up right now. We have Cincinnati.
Pull that up for a second, and as we get ready to wrap up, so we're going to pick some games in a second. So we've given you our analysis of the Raiders game, this past game this week, and each particular respective unit and what we thought. This week we gave you a full summary from the Who Dat Confessional all the way up to Professor Speaks on what we think the team needs to do to improve, to bring back a victory, what went wrong, what went right in the Oakland game. Now, Who Dat Nation, we move forward to the game on Sunday. BB and I have wrapped up the discussion as well as all of the other analysts on Saints News Radio have presented to you all week and what we see the keys are. and what we think, what might happen. I'm going to stick with my prediction of 30-28, a Saints upset victory in the Big Apple, which is my other hometown because that's where I lived for 4 years. So I got my home team versus my other home team. BB, you have a prediction of a score before we pick some games?
Well, it's kind of funny because, me as well. I am from that New Jersey area, right by Asbury Park, where Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, guys like that got their starts. So the Giants were a team that a lot of my family roots for. Me, on the other hand, being a New Orleans fan, and now being able to work with you guys and be an analyst for the team, I'm going to pick up the Saints. I'm optimistic that Drew can dissect his defense, a young secondary, and especially if Jason Pierre-Paul doesn't play, I think Drew's going to get plenty of time in the pocket to be able to make some things happen. But at the same time, alluding to your point earlier, Professor, the Saints got to put up points to win these games because of the defense and how bad the defense is. I say it's another shootout. I'm going to go 42-38 in favor of the Saints in this one.
All right. There you heard it from our own B.B. Howard Cosell, 42-38, and I say 30-28. And, BB, I wasn't too far from you. I lived in a little town called Woodbridge, New Jersey. I lived in Eston, New Jersey, and I worked in East Brunswick and Piscataway, New Jersey. So there's the connection with you and I, because I am a Giants fan because I lived up there for many years. And so the Saints are my number one team. And then it's kind of, the Giants are next in terms of that, because that was my home for many years before I moved to Atlanta. So just keep an eye on. We'll see from all of the analysts this week. We'll see who was correct and who came close to being correct, because I don't think any of us. Some people, I think Deuce picked the Raiders to win, and Kyle predicted that whoever wins the turnover battle would win, and then I predicted the wide left field goal. So the award goes to Deuce because he predicted the win or loss, and then Kyle and I came in second, but none of us predicted a score of 35-34. So as we get ready to close out, BB and I are going to try to help some of you gamblers that bet on football games. We just giving you our opinion, so don't bet based upon what me and BB say. But we're going to pick a few games and tell you who we think we're going to win, and we're going to wrap up the show. Okay, BB, call out the first game.
I'm sorry, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh.
Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh in that game at home. Who do you like?
I like Pittsburgh in that game. I think they played really well on Monday night. I think D'Angelo Williams is still a running back with a chip on his shoulder. And Antonio Brown might be one of the best all-around players in the NFL right now. I'm going to go Pittsburgh.
Okay. Next game.
Tennessee at Detroit.
I like with Detroit in that they showed strength in overcoming that late Indianapolis score and came back to kick that winning field goal. I don't like what I've seen from Tennessee. I'm going to go with the Lions to start off 2-0 at home and pick up another victory over the Tennessee Titans.
I think the loss of Megatron extremely hurts Detroit. I think it really hurts Matt Stafford, but I really like Theo Rick and what he's able to do. The guy just got paid. He's got something to prove. I'll go Detroit.
All right, next game.
Baltimore at Cleveland.
Baltimore at Cleveland. This is traditionally a very tough game. The Browns playing their AFC North rival. Oh, boy. And Baltimore did not show much on offense last week in their win over Buffalo. Cleveland did not show a lot in their loss to Philadelphia. Ugh. My gut tells me go with Baltimore, but I don't know why. I wouldn't be surprised. I must say in an upset, Cleveland upsets Baltimore at home.
I'm going to take Baltimore. I think Cleveland's just got the short end of the stick lately. I'm a big RG3 fan. I think if the guy could ever get healthy, he'd be something special in this league. Sadly, gets put on IR after week 1, and it seems like his time in Cleveland's going to be over after just one game. But I'll go Baltimore. I think Baltimore's got something to prove. I think Joe Flacco, still being one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the league, has to prove to not only his team but the league that this is a guy who just won a Super Bowl a few years ago. Why can't he take his team back? I'm going to go Baltimore.
So RG3 is gone for the season, BB?
That's what I've heard, is that left shoulder is damaged to the point where he'll be done for the entire year.
Oh, my goodness. He's like an adoptive nephew, and his uncle is part of me and Kyle's family. And, man, he's like adoptive nephew. I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. Wow.
I love RG3.
Yeah, he's like family to us. His uncle is our classmate. We all went to high school together. So I'm just praying for you, RG3, that things work out for you, brother. Let's pick another game, BB.
Dallas at Washington.
Oh, boy. This is another tough game because Dallas came off that heartbreaking loss. The Redskins look absolutely horrible against Pittsburgh. And this game is in Washington. Rivalry. Prescott versus Cousins. I mean, they look terrible. Oh. I think Washington rebounds in a close game, beats Dallas at home.
You know, Josh Norman talks a lot. He talks a lot about how he's one of the best, if not the best corner that has ever walked the face of the planet. And Dez Bryant just came off a bad game. I'm looking for Dez to go out and show Josh Norman that he's not the best corner on the planet. I'll take Dallas solely because of Dez Bryant.
All right, next game.
San Fran at Carolina.
Oh, I think this is an easy one. I think San Francisco is going to run into a buzzsaw. They would not be playing on Los Angeles Rams and having a shutout. I think the Carolina Panthers and Cam rebounds from the 1-point loss to Denver and blow them out in Carolina. I go with the Panthers.
I have Cam on my fantasy team, so I certainly hope so. We'll go Panthers.
All right, next game.
Miami at New England.
New England impressed me how they went to the desert and beat Arizona, and there's just a mystique up there in Foxborough, so I'm going to go with the Patriots. And I think it'll be closer than people think because Miami seems to be getting their defense together, so I'm going to go in a close game, but I'm going to go with the Patriots.
You know, Colin Cowherd, who's now with Fox Sports, made a really big prediction this week and said that Tom Brady will not finish his career in New England. And if Garoppolo can come out and really show that he's ready to take over this franchise here in a year or two, I think I agree with him. I'm jumping on Jimmy Garoppolo's bus. I think he's going to be a good quarterback for this team. I'll take New England.
Okay, all right. Hey, that's wow. That is some statement. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, even we have our own questions with Drew. Most of these aging quarterbacks don't finish with the same team, so that's going to be something to keep an eye out and watching the young quarterback and his play with New England and how that impacts Brady. If you remember, Brady won the job when Drew Bledsoe got hurt. And Drew Bledsoe never got his starting job back. So, all right, next game, BB.
Kansas City at Houston.
Texans defense versus the Chiefs in kind of a rematch. The Chiefs struggled against San Diego and rallied late to come from behind. And the Texans defense won a decisive game against, I think, 11 over the Bears. So I'm gonna go with the defense. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go with the Texans at home, and because of Wade Phillips' ability, and J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, and that defense, Cushing, and all of those guys, I'm gonna go with the Houston, the Texans.
You know, my first NFL game was in 2000 The first time I saw an NFL game in person, I went with my dad, and we saw Alex Smith as a rookie quarterback in the Georgia